As several legal experts have told us over the last few days, California has enormous influence on so many other states when it comes to its Supreme Court. Many state Supreme Courts around the country reference the California Supreme Court, look to it for guidance, look to it for direction. It is going to have an impact, huge, across the country, and that is why religious conservatives are gearing up to fight against this decision overturning the ban on marriage for gays and lesbians in California, because they know what the impact is going to be. And it's interesting. Just a year ago, we were all very demoralized after we had heard from the Washington State Court, the New York State highest court, the Court of Appeals, both throwing out challenges to the marriage bans, saying it was perfectly constitutional to ban gays from marrying and that it needed to go to the legislatures. It needed to be voted on by the people's representatives. And there was a lot of criticism by a lot of gay activists as well as a lot of commentators in the media that you can't get this done through the courts. You shouldn't go and try to overturn this through the courts. You're going to be attacked. They're going to say activist judges, right? They're going to say it was a judicial fiat, right? All of these buzzwords. And a lot of people started to think that way, even in the LGBT movement, started to think, hey, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. We should be going to the legislatures. And in fact, in New York, an effort began after New York's highest court decided that no, marriage is not constitutional for gays and lesbians. It's not protected in the New York Constitution. An effort began to go through the legislature and try to change this through the legislature. And a lot of people said this is really the way to go. But I will tell you that, in fact, what California showed us, now a court, highest court in the state, handing down a ruling, overturning the ban, is that we actually need to do both. We actually need to do the courts as well as the legislatures when it comes to attaining our rights. The California decision is monumental, and it's a court that is highly respected, as I said, so it will be looked to and certainly will be looked at in a different way from other courts. But one reason why I think the California decision is very different and will play out differently in California, will play out differently among the people of California, and will ultimately not be overturned by a ballot measure in November, is because over the past couple of years, activists worked on both ends, the legislature and the courts as well. As this case was making its way up through the courts to the California Supreme Court, we had 2 sessions of the legislature in California pass a marriage bill. We passed a marriage bill twice. California passed a marriage bill legalizing marriage for gays and lesbians twice, 2 years in a row. The Governor Schwarzenegger, vetoed it, saying he was waiting for the court. A lot of people criticized that, and it was idiotic because usually the conservatives are telling us that, no, we can't have the courts make this decision. It's got to be the people and the people's representatives. Well, here we had the people's representatives, and you had the governor saying, no, it has to be the courts. But a great thing about that was that he was leaving it to the court. The court decided, and the people who follow him, and he has a lot of, certainly he's very popular, has a lot of big backing and support in California. People who look to him say, wow, okay, he said we have to abide by the court decided. But more so, passing that marriage bill twice, 2 years in a row, got the public used to the idea, got the public on board. It came about slowly. It came about after 2 consecutive legislatures had voted in favor of it. It came about after a sweeping domestic partnership law had been in place in California for quite some time. Came about after people got used to the idea that gays and lesbians had virtually all the rights of marriage within the state, certainly not federally. They still don't have that with marriage legal in California. But certainly through the domestic partnership law, they had all of the rights at the state level, and the world didn't end. The sky didn't fall. People were seeing commitment ceremonies, people going down and getting their domestic partnership licenses, people coming together, being very public about their relationships. And then they saw the legislature pass a marriage bill twice, 1 year after another. And it just got everybody, I think, used to the idea, so that when the California Supreme Court now came down with this decision, yeah, there's a lot of outrage and anger by religious conservatives, all the fundamentalists freaking out and going crazy, and they're determined to try to stop this. But I think activists, having worked both at the courts and at the legislature in trying to get marriage made legal, really was such a smart strategy, and I think it will be looked back on as the strategy that works. We need to work at every level and hit the system from every side if we want to attain our rights and really create the kind of acceptance and change in public opinion that we want. A court, it is supposed to, do things sometimes that are unpopular. They're supposed to uphold the law, even if it is not something the majority particularly agrees with. They're supposed to protect the minority. But there's nothing wrong with, at the same time, changing the majority's opinions. And I think by going to the legislature and pushing this through the legislature, activists did that. And I think ultimately that's why this is going to be looked back at as enormously successful.